I'm talking to Liz Elsby at the moment. Welcome, Liz. Welcome to
Hello.
the show. Now, before we get into the situation currently in Israel, I just give us a small bit of a background of what you do in Yad Vashem, because I understand you're an educator at Yad Vashem. If you just a quick overview of who is Liz Elsby and what does she do in Yad Vashem?
Well, thank you, Dirk. Well, Dirk, I've worked in Yad Vashem for 20 years. I'm also a tour guide. I'm also a lecturer. My specialty is Holocaust art. And I also take educational groups to Poland, Czech Republic, Theresienstadt, and Berlin. And I'm also, besides that, I'm a freelance illustrator and graphic designer.
So you're a busy woman. So yeah, thanks. No, I don't want to waste too much time. But we've all seen the scenes, what's happening in Israel at the moment. So just if you want to just give us your experiences, how is it at the moment? How do you feel? How is it? How is the experience in general in Israel, the whole situation?
Well, thank you, Dirk. Well, unfortunately, in Israel, this particular terrible war is very new, but we're used to every few years having some kind of conflict with Gaza. And I have three children. All my children, who are all born in Israel, my oldest is 32, have ever known is that every year or two we have a war. We have rockets coming over, we have missiles coming over, we have to go down into the bomb shelter. And my 18-year-old remembers when he was in second grade, there was a war, and in the middle of the war, and he was baking cookies with his class, and they had to run down into the bomb shelter. And when he came up, the cookies had burnt. And, how do you tell a 6-year-old, I'm sorry that your cookies were burnt? And so when this war began, I was actually in Poland working, because I'm a tour guide. And the person I was with, in the morning we heard the sirens, because most of us walk around on our phones with a little beeper that will tell you when there is an air raid siren going off. And like all the other times, I was sure that this was just going to be a day or two of bombs coming over, and our poor countrymen in the South were going to have to be hiding in their bomb shelters, but it was going to blow over and we would get on with things. And by the time I got from Krakow to Warsaw, and we saw what had happened in the South, that they actually took over kibbutzim. And I think that's every Israeli's nightmare. It's something that I'm having nightmares thinking about it, that they went in and they started just to murder people. 1,000 terrorists murdering kids at a festival. Then my friend and I decided that we've had 3 more days left in Poland, but we were going to go right away to the airport and get however we could back to Israel. And the Israeli authorities told us we had to fly to Athens, and from Athens we would have flights back to Israel. And I think there's one by the way, whenever you hear a little brrr, that's a bomb being sent over from Gaza. And I think we're the only country in the world where when there's a war, everyone wants to come home. Everyone wants to come back to Israel. Usually people leave a war zone. And so we were very lucky. We got onto a flight, but there were hundreds and hundreds of people desperate to get back home to Israel. Among them, amazing young people who had their call-ups to the army to come and join their units. And these were people who had come from as far away as Thailand. Some of them were on their honeymoons. They were just enjoying life after the army, and they were all desperate to get home so they could help. So I came home to a country at war, and I think that what's so hard for me during this war, and I've lived in Israel 40 years, and I've been through a lot of these wars, unfortunately, is what happened in the South. It's hard for me to talk about it without crying. But when I see the men, we have a very beautiful religious organization called Zaka. These are men who do holy work. They go and they pick up body parts. And when there's been a terrorist attack or an accident, because in Judaism, our body has to be buried complete. It's part of what we call kavod hamet, and respect for the dead. They're very tough men. They've seen everything, these religious men. And when I saw the head of one of the Zaka units crying, and describing what he saw, which is so awful. Murdering babies and burning their bodies. I realize that my work as a Holocaust educator, that these are not people who are fighting for freedom. These are not people who are fighting for the Palestinian people. These are genocidal murderers. They're genocidal murderers who only want to murder Jews. It's just like what we learn about and teach about and research in the Holocaust. They have no other intention, no other purpose. Someone who's fighting for a cause does not burn a pile of bodies of little children or rape young women and then drag their bodies back to Gaza or murder people who set up organizations to help feed people in the world or murder doctors who also help Palestinian children. That's not their aim here. And
yeah, and just if I mean, I'm not often speechless, but I am. Just to hear that there's people picking up body parts, make sure that that's just something here in the West, where no one can comprehend that, I suppose. But I often wonder, why is that hate there? Why is there so much hate? I mean, it's probably a question we'll never be able to answer, but do you have a clue or an idea? I mean,
I think as Holocaust educators, and that's your field too. I don't understand how you could have so much hatred towards a fellow human being. I can't, you know, we're just like everyone else. We're different. Jews are not one type of person. We're all kinds of different cultures and all types of different ways of being Jewish. I think we have a very moral country. I think we're moral people. And the fact that there's hatred in the world, and I used to not like to use the word evil because I thought the word evil was very trite. But I think there are evil people in this world, and these evil people sometimes get into positions where they can influence other people. The same thing happened with the Nazis. The same thing happened when all throughout history. And I don't know why it's always our people. I'm sure, like you, I had family members who were murdered in Treblinka. My family was originally from Grodno in what is today Belarus. I don't know. Sometimes
yeah,
the conflict is that.
yeah, it's I know it's an impossible question to answer, really. Now, the reports here coming out that there is indication that it's also Iran could be involved in this. No, well, that doesn't surprise me, to be honest. But did that message come through in Israel that there's some Iranian involvement in this to some extent?
Well, we're very scared of that too, because also for the Iranian people who are living under a horrific regime that murders women and represses human rights.
Yeah,
And for them, it's also very difficult. I think the regime in Iran is very similar to Hamas. It's not a regime that wants to benefit the Iranian people. And I think, like most Palestinian people, Iranian people are just people like us who want to wake up in the morning, go to work, and live their lives. But yes, we are worried in Israel by some kind of involvement with Iran. I think it's been that way for years. Worried, but we're very, what happened to us was a terrible thing, that it was such a surprise. But now we've collected ourselves. We have a very strong army. We have a lot of national unity, and they won't win this. So Iran, this has no benefit in getting involved. It won't end well for them.
yeah. I mean, let's hope that something good will come out of this. I always try to look at some positive sides, and the fact that there's going to be I call it a united Israeli government or unity government. That's probably a good, because yeah, I have to be honest. I am not a great fan of Benjamin Netanyahu. I'm not, but nothing that happened the last 3 days, nothing, not one single bit of a thing justifies what was happening. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, I don't want to get political, especially during wartime when we have to be together. But I can tell you that every time in the past we've had government representatives who have gone to the confrontation zones, who have helped bereaving families. There's nothing. We have people who are walking around, this is the seventh day already, without any answer. Where's their children? Who's going to help them? Because Israelis are incredible people and because we're so strong, we've done it all by ourselves. Everywhere you go in Israel, people are organizing food, people are organizing clothing. And my son-in-law and my daughter-in-law are getting donations and taking materials to bases to give to the soldiers. And those are our boys and girls. And it's all grassroots, it's all from us. And I think in the future, we have to be more together as a people. We have to love each other. It doesn't matter if we're religious or not religious. And we need to have a government that represents everybody. And hopefully, if we can learn any lesson from this terrible, terrible war. And again, I don't want to, it's too early. It's not the time. Like people are still grieving when we're still fighting, when we don't know what's going to be tomorrow to start pointing fingers. But there's going to have to be a huge reckoning at the end of all of this, and hopefully we will come out stronger and better.
Let's hope, and I think that's probably a good point to leave this as well. So, thank you very much for just telling us a small bit of your experiences. So, and hopefully things will even out again soon, and you'll be safe again.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Thanks.
Bye.